Welcome to the Jet Set Hers podcast. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Jamie. We discuss travel, adventure, and everyday life. Listen with us and let's go somewhere.
Hey, Jamie.
Hello, Jenny. What's up?
So, our guest this week was recording all the way from just outside of Melbourne, Australia, which is 18 hours difference. So, for us, it was about dinner time. For him, it was 9 a.m. So, he did not have a drink. So, we decided to just go ahead and wait and have our drink now when we do our little pre and post recording. So, what are you drinking, Jamie?
Well, today I'm doing it pretty basic, white girl status with the White Claw, girl. I got a tangerine flavor, okay?
Oh my, I am drinking a White Claw too.
How did we match that and didn't even plan it?
That is so funny. My roommate bought some and they were in the fridge and I was like, that sounds good. So I'm drinking the lime.
I just wanted something nice and light today because I'm feeling nice and light, you know. I'm feeling light, so I wanted something light to drink. I don't want nothing heavy to weigh me down. So That's why I chose it today. You know, might be something different tomorrow. Who knows? But
yeah,
hey,
that's so funny.
Well, cheers, my dears.
Cheers. We think too much alike. It's too funny.
Yeah, and you know what? Speaking of Australia, where our guest is from, I have a fun fact. You want to hear it?
Of course I do.
Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready.
90% of Australians live on the coast. Did you know that?
I did not know that. And that's a huge continent. So that's pretty insane.
I actually have another fun fact. Do you want to hear it?
Absolutely.
Okay. The Great Barrier Reef is the largest ecosystem in the world.
I actually knew that one.
Okay. Well, 1 for 2. So
because it's fantastic.
2 fun facts.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Great Barrier Reef is Australia, period, is a place that I've always wanted to go. Actually, 2020, Katrina and I were supposed to go. Which never happened because of COVID and all the other stuff. But we actually didn't have it planned out, so it kind of worked out fine. But hope to visit there one day. Hope to see the Great Barrier Reef because that is on my list to see.
Absolutely, me too. I'm going to just tag along because I'm going everywhere with you.
Yeah, basically.
All right. Well, we're excited to introduce our guest today. His name is Trav Bell, and he's also known as the Bucket List Guy. And surprise, surprise, we're going to talk about bucket lists.
Okay, guys. Well, here's Trav. We hope you enjoy. Have fun.
Enjoy. All right. Excited to welcome our guest this week. Hi, Trav.
G'day. How are you going?
Good. You're known as the Bucket List Guy.
I certainly am. I've been the bucket list guy for about 10 years now. So, yes, it's been one hell of a journey. So someone called me the bucket list guy 10 years ago, and I've been running around the world doing my bucket list and inspiring others to do theirs before their time is up. So for the last 10 years, so mainly as a speaker and as a coach. And now we've got a chain of, a tribe, should I say, of certified bucket list coaches around the world now in 22 countries teaching my stuff as well. So
wow.
It's it's been one hell of a journey.
Wow.
Absolutely. Wow is right.
Well, we're excited to have you on. I mean, that's something that I struggled with for a long time was like, oh, I can't afford to travel, but you can. You make it happen. That's what you really want. So
yeah, well, I mean, and my whole thing is a bucket list isn't actually just about travel, you know, and this might become as a bit of a revelation to some of your watchers and listeners, right? So a lot of people refer to bucket list as travel. Me, travel is one of 12 components to actually make up a complete bucket list, right? I wrote a book called the My Bucket List Blueprint, and that is this blueprint that I created, you know, it was about 10 years ago that I've done a TED talk on since. And it's an acronym, a 12-letter acronym for how to really extract and articulate a personally meaningful and holistic bucket list. Because, you know, as you know, with just travel, if it was just travel, we'd be all hoping and praying to someday the perfect time to come around and for us to get the money and time to be able to go and do the things that we want to do on our travel bucket list. That forces us to kind of live in a delayed gratification society. I'll be happy when syndrome. There's a lot of people, as you know, there's a lot of people that get to retirement age and they want to do all their world travel at retirement age, and they hang out to do their bucket list then, but then they retire and they got 1, 2, maybe 5, maybe 10 good years, and then it's like, dude, so you sacrificed your happiness for a large portion of your life to enjoy later, and later never came, and so I want people to be happier now,
Yeah.
and so, and right now with COVID and lockdowns and all that sort of stuff as well, like not a lot of travel happening.
Right.
So what do we do? Well, no bucket lists? No, that's stupid. So I created this blueprint to help people kind of go north, south, east, west in their own brain, to help them extract and articulate this list way more beyond than just travel, because, and that's how a lot of people perceive as a bucket list. They perceive it as a travel list, but it's so much more than that. It's the skills that you want to learn. It's the legacies. It's the kind acts that you want to do for other people. It's the people that you want to meet, the challenges that you want to set for yourself, skills that you want to learn, all the other weird shit that you want to do before your time is up. And at the end of the day, that gives people a real sense of hope now. It helps people be happier now. It gives them a sense of accomplishment when they can cross off those little immediate ones now, rather than wait until later on. And I've done this really from a mental health side of things. I've been through depression. I kind of wrote all this. I got into this to sort of help my former self, or to give myself a framework to be able to help myself. And it's helped a lot of other people in the process. But, with depression, anxiety, the over-prescription of antidepressants, with the suicide rate, the youth suicide rate, and even this thing now that we've got called the loneliness epidemic, which is a real thing, right? And it's scary. Like, these stats are climbing. You go through COVID in on top of all that, we're not in a good place.
Right.
So I want to, that's one of my biggest drivers, right? It's not about just going around ticking a whole bunch of countries off your bucket lists, and I know that that's the, this is a travel sort of show, and I get that. And I've got my own, podcast as well. But I'd like to also dispel a few myths. It's not just about travel. It's about helping people be happy and lead fulfilled lives, like right now, because these stats are getting worse and worse and worse. And I'm sure, Jenny and Jamie, you want your watchers and listeners to be happier now, right?
Absolutely.
Lead a life of no regrets and fulfillment, and have more meaning and purpose in their life. And so do I. And so we've got to have tools. We've got to have different ways to be able to help people, different frameworks. And I know that the last 10 years I've been talking about this stuff, but it's become more relevant, through COVID, and to help people see, I guess, give them tools to be able to create maybe the light at the end of their tunnel.
I love the idea of like everyone being happier, but also like tomorrow's not promised. So I do like the idea of like, don't wait till tomorrow when you can do today. Yeah,
but that's the thing, right? Like that, I want to go to Machu Picchu. I want to go to Mount Everest base camp. I want to do this. I want to do that. All right, cool. Well, it's going to take a good portion of time to be able to save up for that, and to create enough leverage in your life to be able to create enough time. I say, I say a bucket list is a tangible life plan, right? Where our career plan or our business plan should fit into our life plan and not be the other way around.
Mm-hmm. So
when I talk from a point of, work, reinforcing the work to live principle, if you know what I mean. If you do work right, or you set up a business right, it should produce the two things that every business should, produce, or every job that should be produced, and that is it should produce, when optimized, it should produce cash flow and also time flow for you to go and do the shit that you want to do in life.
Right.
Right. And double bonus, if it's giving you that, then great. But the double bonus, if you actually love what you do and you're of service to people in the community and you love it, you know, which a lot of people can't say, you know, I think that's the holy grail, right?
Right.
Right. You love what you do. It's giving you the time flow and the cash flow. Sweet. Done.
Right.
The ultimate goal.
Better
Yeah.
speed.
Yeah.
Best
And
deal.
you guys are in America. In the US, 89% of people who go to work every day are what they call disengaged. 89% of people are rocking up to work every day and going, I'm not into it. Just getting the paycheck coming home.
Yep. I totally agree. Yep.
Fuck that. But that then leads on to these other statistics. Sorry, you might have to go back to the editing on that. But
no worries.
but at the end of the day, that's what's leading to depression. That's what's leading to the suicides.
Right.
This is a big, big problem.
Bigger
and that's
issue.
why I take what I do very, very seriously, because it's helped so many people over the years. I've got 10 years of evidence of this thing, helping people. I know the book has already helped people, because I don't know, whatever we're getting sold at the moment, like whatever this whole 401k deal and like I'll sacrifice my happiness now. I'll just put up with shit most of my life to enjoy later in my retirement years. Well, that retirement years doesn't come for a lot of people. Fuck, that is the most depressing thing ever, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Like, not to put a dampener on it, but like, you probably know people that are just sleepwalking through their life. They're on Groundhog Day and they're waiting for shit to change, and it's just not changing. And it's like they go through the whole life like that, waiting till someday or the perfect time or the stars to align,
right?
For them to go and live their life. It's like, dude, wake up! You're gonna fucking die soon.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, anything could happen at any time, so you're not guaranteed those retirement years, even if that is what you're striving to get to.
Yeah. I'm very blunt, and I make no apologies for that, because I guess as a speaker, like when I go, I've got a gig coming up, a couple of hundred people. I've been doing Zoom, and like no one's got any time for just pussyfooting around and go, like, hey, let's do it. No. I've got maybe 45 minutes with an audience most times, so I've got to disrupt. Right, I've got to get people to think differently. I'm not telling people how they should, must, or have to live their life or any shit like that. That's too presumptuous. All right, that's too arrogant. But here's another way to look at your life.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just another way. Try it on. Put the filter on and just see how it goes, and then and see how that maps into your world. Because I know that so many people, and that are just sleepwalking through their life. And one of the things that I'm quoted on probably the most is this, people are dying at 40 and being buried at 80.
Yep,
yeah,
I see.
That's as depressing as that is. Yeah, I can understand exactly that metaphor. It's painful to think about, but.
So someone comes to you saying, I want to work on my bucket list. And so you look at bucket list kind of as just like life goals, not obviously just destination goals, but just overall.
Yeah, there's two types of goals, right? There's what we call a habit goal and also an achievement goal, right? An achievement goal is when you can get to the end of it. You're like this. You can get to the end of it and go, hey, tick it before you kick it. There you go. So if you look at hashtag tick it before you kick it, you'll see all of our coaches around the world and their clients holding up these signs in random locations around the world. No, that's an achievement goal. When you can finish the marathon, that's an achievement goal. When you've lost that weight, that's an achievement goal. When you've gone debt free, that's an achievement goal. There's a definite end point, right? But me drinking 4 liters of water every day, that's a habit goal.
Right.
Me, but that might be, the habit goal might be a cumulative on the journey to achieving something or an achievement goal. Running every day, doing workouts every day, sleeping 8 hours a day. That's a habit goal, right? But some of them might be in relation to an achievement goal, but some are just to help people create more efficient or more efficient kind of life, to a better life. So there's a clear definition between those two sorts of goals, right? Bucket list items are achievement goals.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest problems at the moment is people are so busy being busy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're busy on their daily to-do list, but not on their bucket list until something traumatic or dramatic happens to them or a loved one.
Right.
Right. And it's funny, isn't it? Because suddenly, like for people who get diagnosed with cancer, suddenly their bucket list becomes really important, just like the movie.
Right.
The bucket list movie with Jack Nicholson and old mate, Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
It's a shit movie. You know why?
Why?
Because it's given it's put bucket list in a negative connotation because so they wrote a bucket list on the back of a cancer diagnosis.
Right.
Which is pretty stupid. So it took them to get cancer first and then they wrote a bucket list. My whole mission and what I've done for the last 10 years is to help wake people up before they get given a cancer diagnosis.
Absolutely.
Right? Get them to live their life before they get a slap across the face like that. So what do? Like when I do talks, and if you've seen my TED talk, you'll see how, full on I am about this topic. And it's about waking people up before they get given a diagnosis. So, but the problem is that people are so busy, you got a bucket list and then you got a daily to-do list, and guess which one they get done first on a day-to-day basis? They get, they're concentrating on their daily to-do list. So you got to do something special for them to separate or to even, get clear on what their bucket list is as opposed to their daily to-do list. So the first step is get this shit out of your head. Obviously grab a book, but go through the My Bucket List blueprint and actually put pen to paper. Remember these things called pens? This
actual
is a
pen and paper.
I know, it's an actual pen. If you're just listening to this, I'm holding up a pen. And this stuff right here, it's
actual
called paper. I know, it's so analog, it's ridiculous. But if you put pen to paper and you start this process called writing, there it is. It's a consciousness exercise. It's a conscious exercise. Now, I'm being sarcastic, but at the end of the day, people don't even write fucking goals down, let alone bucket list items.
Right.
The thing is, your bucket list items and all the shit that you want to do in life, all your goals are up there swimming around with your daily to-do list. And guess which one gets done first?
The daily.
Right? Daily to-do list.
Daily. Because we're so, and it's like, how, when you catch up with someone, how are you? Oh, I'm so busy. So I'm so busy being busy. It's like this weird ass badge of honor that we carry around with us, like how busy we are. Busy's bullshit.
Right. You're busy thinking about everything, but it's really just all up there. You're not really busy.
Totally. And so when people get an opportunity, maybe to, they've watched this or they listened to this for the first time, I want everyone to obviously grab a book, and two, I want you to actually write some shit down. But what's easy to do is easy not to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, why do I need to write a bucket list? I know what I want. Oh, all right, good.
Right.
Well, as soon as you hang up this conversation, as soon as you switch off this podcast, you'll be back into your to-do list, and life just gets in the way, and that's how it goes. Right. But if you actually make an effort to write some stuff down and make a conscious effort of writing it down, there's actually studies that suggest that if you actually write stuff down on a piece of paper versus even typing it into a phone or into like a Google Doc, it's actually more of a thinking process, more of a cognitive exercise by actually putting pen to paper. So again, what's easy to do is easy not to do. Write some shit down, share it with a mate. And do the first thing on it. Start the momentum.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Start building out your reverse bucket list as well. Your reverse bucket list is all the shit that you've done in your life, as if it were on a bucket list all the way along. Start building up this reverse bucket list. Start building up your future bucket list, and then the secret sauce is to find a vehicle that spits out the time flow and the cash flow for allow you to do it.
It's like a blueprint of life, all laid out in front of you.
Before we start every episode, we actually sit down and write. We both have a notebook and we'll sit down and write stuff in it. So that is important. It helps me. Like, we have Google Docs all day, but there's something about right before we start pulling out a pen and paper.
But the thing is too, like when I do a lot of coaching around this and efficiencies, and I coach a lot of C-level executives, CEOs, founders, and this sort of thing. And a lot of the initial coaching is about decreasing distractions.
Yeah.
And like retraining that distraction muscle, so you can focus on the things that really need to be focused on for you and your family.
Mm-hmm.
So you can have lead a regret-free life rather than a regretful life, and helping people be good busy versus bad busy.
Right. You can still be busy.
Yeah, but it's like this distraction. We waste 35% of our working day task switching. 35% of our day task switching. So you'll be doing something and then you'll get notified, or you'll get like turn off your fucking notifications.
Right.
Unsubscribe from all the shit that you don't need to be subscribed to, and do it today. Even delete people from your phone that you have no longer any contact with, that just are a burden.
Right.
Like these are all little hacks that you can do to clear up your headspace, your bandwidth, which is the most important thing. So you can pay attention, and our attention is our most valuable commodity that we trade with each other every single day now.
Right.
Our attention is everything. What are you paying attention to?
Right.
It's an interesting, it's an interesting topic. It's an interesting rabbit hole to go down. But your attention, your focus gets interrupted all the time, all throughout the day. Notifications, pinging, like social media, and the thing is, when you can disappear, if you can disappear into a cafe with a book and a pen and do some deep thinking and not be notified, and you'll be really, like, you'll get some of your best work done. But if you're on Google Docs or you're on your laptop like I am now, and you've got tabs open and you don't want to see my tabs either, like every tab is a distraction.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right? So much clutter. It's just clutter everywhere. It's like organized, like just organize your life almost,
Yeah, 100%. And that's what it's, and it's going to get worse.
Yeah.
Right.
It's going to get worse. So start to put some of these rules in place early, so we can focus on our bucket list, focus on the things that bring meaning, purpose, fulfillment, gratitude to our life. It's not just, this is not just about a bucket list and ticking a whole bunch of cool stuff off. That's not how I see it, right? It's really about, right, check this out. So it's really about how we reverse engineer every aspect of our lives in order to make this stuff come to fruition. All right, it's the growth of us on this journey towards these self-imposed destinations. But more importantly, this is the thing that I want your watchers and your listeners to get excited about. It's really about the person that exists on the other side of your bucket list, and that's the person you don't know yet.
I love that.
Person that you want to be, you strive to
that's
be.
your potential. That's your potential. That's the person you do not know yet.
Right.
Until you go to the edge, until you start ticking stuff off your bucket list, you'll never meet that person.
Right.
You'll never. Like I said before, people are dying at 40 and being buried at 80. They get the mortgage, they get the house, they get the nice secure job, and they go, stop pushing the envelope. Stop challenging myself.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Life becomes quite vanilla.
Right.
But the thing is, that's broken because these statistics is continuing to climb.
Right.
You see how it doesn't work? And at the end of the day, I want people to get excited, curiously excited about what they can fully fucking do in this lifetime, and what they can fully experience in this lifetime.
It's like a bucket list for your life. That's it.
Yeah.
I've never looked at it like that. So
it's a tangible life plan. That's what it is. It's a tangible life plan. And you never stop adding until you die. Don't stop adding until I'm doing 5 things at the moment. Sure, it's my job, whatever that is. For a lot of other people, I'm doing small ones, big ones, ones that are going to take me until the rest of my life to do, and some that I can do, like straight away. But it gives me purpose. It gives me purpose to get out of bed every morning.
Right.
It pulls me towards the goals. I'm not having to push myself.
Right.
That's a big difference.
Right.
So do you have so you sit down, you make a bucket list, and then you just keep adding to it as you slowly cross things off, or is some probably morph into different versions of itself?
Oh, mate, there's some fucking weird things on there. I mean, there's some, some big ones and some small ones. And the cool thing is I've got and you'll have to join this, it's called the Bucket Listers community on Facebook. And if you go hashtag Bucket Listers, come join that group on Facebook, and you'll see all the crazies in there, all good crazies in there. And these are people who are, part of our coaching community, or people who send me speak, podcast hosts, and that sort of thing. And, get amongst it, and it's a full safe zone where people are stealing ideas off each other, and that's all cool. But yeah, I mean, I've got probably 350 things on my future bucket list to do.
I love it.
I added one last week. Stay at the original ice hotel in Sweden.
Love
Sweet.
it.
Yeah, I've got one coming, and I've got one coming up doing a stand-up comedy gig, and it's probably the scariest fucking thing I'm planning on doing.
That's awesome.
Stand-up comedy, okay.
No, it's not going to be okay at all. I'm not going to tell you guys where it's going to be or when. And I'm not telling any of my mates where it's going to be. Or, the last thing I want them is in the front row fucking heckling me for a drink.
That's
we'll fly over.
Anyway. Right. But the other one other thing, for the release of the book, I bought myself, I'm 47, right? So I've got 4 kids. I'm 40, so I'm going to grow up soon, just sometime, I don't know. But at the end of the day, I bought myself DJ decks, a 4-channel mixer and 2 decks. So always been interested in dance music, more so on the other side than the side of the decks. But back in the day, but for me, I need, probably like you guys, I need stuff I love writing. I surf most days, and I can't play a musical instrument to save myself. So I thought, I'm going to get myself some DJ deck, learn how to do that. So every single day I'm learning something about mixing. And so buy that special something, bought the decks, and on my bucket list is to host play a party, play a gig.
Nice.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great one. That's a great one to add to the list.
Yeah. And so and the daily habit, the habit goal is to learn something each day, whether it be about the software, the mixing, and what the fuck that button does. And then have that build up to then one day play for some people.
Yeah.
I'm 47.
It's full circle.
Grow up.
Right. Nah, you don't have to.
Yeah. We're not gonna.
Fuck it.
Fine.
Yeah, we're gonna be the same way. Don't worry.
So you started a lot of this 12 years ago?
So I've been the bucket list guy for 10 years now. So my first, so I grew up as a swimmer, surf lifesaving here in Australia. I'm about an hour and a half out of Melbourne here in Australia. And I was pretty much a jock. I think you call it a jock in America. So I was always fit and, always involved in competitive sports and that sort of thing. So that led me to do a phys ed degree, or human movement degree. And in third year uni, I started, this is in the quite early 90s, I started this thing called personal fitness training. And I was one of the first personal fitness trainers in Australia. There wasn't like this big industry. This is pre-internet. I mean, this is how fucking old I am. But I started personal training in the early 90s, and I started with one client. I was the first to franchise personal fitness training studios in Australia. So we ended up with a big chain of personal training studios. This was my first business. Started with one client, ended up with tens of thousands of clients, 300 personal trainers working under that brand. Over 2 million personal training sessions done. 20 years later, I did that, but it grew it into a bit of a monster, and that's, there's some toxic sort of people in my life, situations, circumstances, a few business things, a few legal things, and I let things get on top of me. So this is kind of like the warts and all story, the breakdown before breakthrough, if you like.
Right.
And I think everyone's kind of got one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I slipped into a state of depression, and this is, coming back to the whole mental health driver. And I didn't want to go on full on antidepressants because I knew that was just a band-aid. Wasn't really getting to the root cause of what I was going through. And I've always been fascinated with psychology, so I said, "Fuck it, I got to really try and work myself out here." And I didn't want to go into like heavy therapy. I wanted to like get just always curious about it. And so I just forced myself to go to seminars, read books, get coaches and mentors and that sort of thing. So for nearly a 2-year stretch, I worked through a lot of my own stuff, and I went to all this personal development thing, and whatever was on, I went to it, and I was just a seminar junkie for ages. And then at the end of it, after working out a lot of stuff, a friend of mine at the time said, "Hey, Trav, why don't you teach this shit?" And I went, "Yeah." And around that time, the online world was starting to, take off. Tim Ferriss had just come out with his book, The 4-Hour Work Week. And that was an absolute revelation. And here I was, I had all these gyms across Australia with all these bricks and mortar leases, commercial leases. And I'm like, fuck, God, how cool would it be to just run a business from a fucking hammock in Thailand like Tim does.
Yeah.
So, and the whole online world was, it's just what it is now, but back then it was just an absolute revelation. So I made I put on a talk. I packaged in everything that I knew. I had about 40 people rock up to the talk. And I was still in the personal training side of things. And right at the end of about halfway through the talk, I started sharing with everyone the fact that I had a list to do before I die, actually written down since I was 18. I'm 47 now, so 18. I've had it for a lot of years before doing this talk. And I started sharing this list to do before you die. And I said, "Hey, who else has got one of these lists to do before you die?" Oh, look, no one. I was the only freak in the room. So I said, "What do you want to do before you die?" And for me, it inspired the group. I told them some stories about some of the stuff that I'd, done, and that's why I sort of set up businesses pretty quick. And I thought everyone did it. No. So right at the end of it, Joe, one of our clients there at the time, said, hey, how's all this list to do before you die stuff? It's really inspired everyone. It's like a bucket list. You're like the bucket list guy. I went, light bulb moment, went home and registered the bucketlistguy.com.
Right.
And I've been doing that ever since. And I defranchised all my personal training business at the time. And I just went full on into this bucket list guy thing, and went online and changed my lifestyle and went into, so really at the core of, and I really didn't really think it through that much, to be honest, about how I was going to monetize it. I knew I was going to be a speaker because I was so damn passionate about it, and that was going to take me around the world. which it has. And at the end of the day, that's what I've been doing ever since. So, you know, the good thing about being a professional speaker as well, people, you know, pay for your flights. They pay to rock up at, you know, some tropical islands and different places around the world. So I've literally traveled all around the world, speaking at big events, inspiring people, and have gone deep on the whole bucket list philosophy. Most of it's based on positive psychology, though. And
Right.
positive psychology versus regressive, you know, or traditional psychology, it's performance-based psychology. It's helping people lead more meaningful, purposeful, fulfilled lives. So I've just put this bucket list theme brand over the top of it. And now we've 3 years ago, we started certifying the bucket list coaches to teach my stuff at a deeper level, which we've done. And now we've got, like I said, bucket list coaches in 22 countries, of which I'm the founder CEO of that too.
Fantastic.
Incredible.
So was there like a certain thing on your, because you said you had a bucket list from when you were 18. Is
I
there a
was called
certain thing,
to-do list before I die. Yeah.
to-do list? Was there a certain thing on there that you checked off that kind of gave you that empowering, like, oh, I can do this. This wasn't that difficult.
There was two things actually. The first one I ever wrote, like when I was 18, I ever wrote was to go to base camp on Mount Everest. And I did that on the Tibetan side with my dad. And I've done a lot of stuff with my dad around the world because of my bucket list. And he hadn't traveled at all,
Right.
you know, his whole life.
Wow.
And now, you know, and Dad and I didn't really grow up. You know, I didn't really grow up. You know, I'm adopted, and he is very much a man's man, and you know, a worker's worker, and he was a warfare fitter and turner and mechanic. And me, his adopted son, a serial entrepreneur. So we sort of spoke different languages, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until we started doing these bucket list adventures on purpose, because I wanted to be closer with Dad. And so we've done Machu Picchu, the Inca Trail, Machu Picchu. I did that in the morning of my 40th birthday, or finished on the morning of my 40th birthday. We did Mount Kilimanjaro together. We've done Everest Base Camp together through Tibet, which is the first thing I wrote on that life list. And we did Papua New Guinea as well, a track called the Kokoda Track.
Wow.
Which is a 9-day trek through the jungle, which is really full on. And
That's
so,
insane.
you know,
Wow.
now as a result of all that, Dad and I are best mates.
I bet.
Beautiful. Yeah.
You know, and that's what it's all about. And the second thing I wrote, which I've done as well, is to do an Ironman triathlon. So I entered and it was one of the things that put me on the map, because a lot of people follow my journey. I've never done a triathlon before, so I just entered an Ironman to see, just really experiment if the why is strong enough, the how will work itself out. So I entered. I grew up as a swimmer, so that wasn't too bad. But I've done one marathon before, never ridden a bike that long, but did a full Ironman triathlon, entered it, trained for a year, and knocked that off my bucket list as well. And that was really transformative.
Wow.
Right. Well, it sounds like a lot of the things that you have knocked off, and probably the things that you probably inspire others to do, is stuff that is challenging, but that helps your personal growth long term.
Well, it's all about really seeing what you're made of, seeing what your potential is, isn't it? You know, and for a lot of these things are like big dominoes that we want to push over that affects a lot of other areas in our life. It has a massive ripple effect.
Right.
You know, in training for the Ironman, I had the most productive and financial year I ever have had in business.
Wow.
Why? Because I was a time management freak, because I had to train so much.
Right.
And I was
Had
just
to be.
really efficient, full of energy, had too much energy. And it was really have everything just dialed in, and could make decisions quicker, all that sort of thing. And it was fantastic. So, you know, hopefully hearing all this and you know, the ripple effect that it can have becomes way more than just going to Machu Picchu, right?
Oh, yeah.
it becomes way more than just coming to
Totally
Australia
different
and
view.
having a great time. So it's not just about the travel adventures. It's really about how it has a massive, I think every item, not just travel, but how it can have a massive ripple effect into every area of your life. Now, but really for a lot of people right now who are, not everyone's kind of, surviving, not thriving, or there's people thriving, of course. For people watching and listening to this, I just want you to think this is an opportunity for you to, take time out of your life to work on your life. Is really an opportunity to put your own oxygen mask on first before you can help others. It's a self-leadership lesson, right? I've got 4 kids. The beautiful thing about bucket list, and I encourage everyone to become a bucket lister. And what I mean by that is a person that's living their life on purpose, right? And that has a huge ripple effect into how kids follow you if you're a parent, how your partner sees you, how you as a leader show up at work. Glass half full kind of person, right?
Right. And I like that surviving, not thriving, because that is what, especially Americans, that's what you work. You go to college to work, and you work to get a car, and then you work to pay for your house, and then you work to get a bigger house. And that's kind of how we ended up on the podcast, is because we didn't want to get stuck in that. We were like, let's try to do something we love. Like you were saying earlier, if you love what you do, then it doesn't become work so much anymore either.
Yeah, and look, you're going to hate me for this, but for the last 10 years, I've literally, all the bucket list items that I've done in my life, last 10 years especially, have been a tax deduction as well.
There you go.
Right.
All this.
It's all about working smarter, not harder.
And see, all of our certified bucket list coaches now that are running around the world, doing selfies, putting up on social media, getting the thing out, they're all now doing the same.
Right.
Because they're a certified bucket list coach and running around the world doing all the travel and these sorts of things. That's now a tax deduction. So still to this day, my accountant says, you're not as dumb as you look, are you, Trav?
Turned it into something.
Yeah.
Got something going for you there.
All those countries that you want to see in the back, on the back there, Jenny, on your maps and stuff there. Yeah. So is that a tax deduction?
Right.
Yeah.
It's a good way to think about it.
That's what we're going to work on. We're going to make sure that we've got some income coming in, so it can be deducted. But at the end of the day, there's definitely smart ways to do it all.
Yeah, that's how we ended up here, because we were both like, what do we want out of life? So that's kind of looking at the big picture, not just like a bucket list item, and it was like to travel and see the world. And so.
And Jenny and I knew nothing about podcasting or anything. We picked it up and started learning it as we're still learning.
Oh yeah, same here. It's I'll never. But the thing is, right, with COVID and everything like that, it's helped us innovate and fall into technology and just adapt. Right. And I think like no other time in history, we've been given a bit of a window to stuff a few things up, to not be perfect, because everyone's in the same boat. Everyone's adapting, everyone's innovating, everyone's radically collaborating like never before. And we're all giving ourselves an excuse to not have everything perfect. So I think it's a great time, like try and 10x it, step into it even more, blow it right up.
I think going back to the bucket list thing, because like for me, my number one bucket list, it was a destination, because I didn't look at it the way that I'm now looking at it today after talking to you. But it was to go to Pompeii in Italy. But if you look at Italy, it's expensive. And like growing up, we had money problems, and all that. But I was planning a trip, I think, to London, because it's a little bit cheaper to fly to London. And then I just kind of was like, well, let me just see. So I started playing around, and I made it happen for a very affordable price. And just doing that and going there for that one day made me realize like that was not that hard, and I feel so accomplished. And it makes everything else kind of seem like accessible. Things that didn't seem possible are now possible.
So right, like when I encourage people to write some of these things down, when the why is strong enough, the how will work itself out, right? And it's never a matter of resources, as in time and money. It's never a matter of resources. It's a matter of resourcefulness.
Yeah.
It's always a matter of resourcefulness. So if you want to do something bad enough in life, you will find a way.
Mm-hmm.
Problem is, we don't check in with how bad we really want to go and do that trip or do that thing.
Right.
We're not inspired enough to do it, maybe. Like I was 10 out of 10 keen to go to Mount Everest base camp. Like I'd just do whatever it took, and I could have, and it's just, I don't know, if you're that intent on something, if you're focused so much on goals, the universe, you got to try, whatever you want to call it, it will make the how appear.
Right.
The problem is we're not focused. We're too scattered, too many tabs open, bandwidth is spread.
Yep.
Declutter, organize, pen to paper.
Yeah.
And write it down. Like I'm
100%.
thinking about the importance of that. And I think writing it down might actually change the importance. Like you think you have it in your head, but I feel like once you look at it, write it down, it might change the order. It might change the importance.
Writing it down is actually you typing into Google in your brain.
Right. Your own Google, your personal Google.
Right. Pull out things you didn't even know.
And the search engine, what's out there in the universe will make that make that appear. What's that one thing on your bucket list item? What is it?
Well, mine was Pompeii, but I made that happen.
All right, you've done that. What's your next one?
The Inca Trail.
All right, Inca Trail, great, and Machu Picchu.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, Jamie.
Switzerland, probably Swiss Alps.
Great. The Swiss Alps is fucking huge. Like where specifically?
No, nowhere specifically. Haven't nailed down. That's
that's
just
the
an
problem.
Idea. Yeah.
That's the problem. Have you got a hotel that you want to stay at?
Nope.
Get specific.
Yeah.
See, I've got people who go, I want to go to Europe. Hello, Europe, by definition, has got 111 countries.
Yeah. Right.
All right, it's stupid. So what is the really specific, and this takes into a smart goal setting. What is the specific thing that your ice hotel in Sweden?
Right.
I can't even announce the name of the town that it's in. I wasn't even going to try it, but I've got a picture of it. It's on my bucket list board. And I know how much the hotel costs. I've very, very specific on the details.
Yeah.
All right. What's the best time of year to go, et cetera, et cetera. So our goals are very, very, people don't even have goals, let alone the specificity around them.
Right.
Well, and I can see how that changes it.
Yeah, what you'll do, your psychology, what happens, it's called your reticular activating system, which is our Google search in our brain. If you type something in, we get something like 2 million bits of information fed to us every single second, right? Now, when you write something down, when you focus on something, what your brain will actually do, it'll plus or minus 7 to 9 bits of information. It'll start to generalize, distort information to suit what you're focused on. So if you go Machu Picchu, right? Machu Picchu Inca Trail. Having written that down, maybe even getting a picture of it, which I did as well, getting a picture of it, getting really specific on that particular item, I bet that you'll start paying attention to different things in your world now. Different conversations, people who have been there before. What's the best time of year? Travel restrictions into Peru or not. Who are the best sort of tour companies? You'll look at stuff online differently, blogs, conversations, etc. Look at all the different all the different stuff that gets put on social media, on Instagram or whatever. Somehow, for some reason, you'll start to pay attention to the stuff related to Machu Picchu, Ninca
Right.
Trail, because you've typed it into Google already.
Right. It's like manifesting and out in the world and in your head too.
Well, and I can see how that, because like just saying I want to go to Machu Picchu or just Peru, like you were saying, is there specifics? No. But if there is specifics, then you're looking for it more, like you
You've already
said,
started.
unconsciously. Yeah. And so you get an email with like a cheap flight and you see the name of that specific place. It's like, oh, hey.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. Last year, or not last year, the year before, I went to Italy. Always wanted to go to Italy. Italy is huge, right? But I wanted to see. Sure, I wanted to see this. I wanted to see two specific things. My partner, she's a artist, and I love art, and I love collecting art. And I wanted to do two things, really specific things, and that is to see the Sistine Chapel, and specifically the creation. You know, like
Yep.
that picture, that one.
Yep.
Yeah, it's on the roof.
Uh-huh.
Right, I want to see that. All right, is that not specific enough?
Very specific.
It's called The Creation, so by Michelangelo, and I wanted to see the statue of David as well. Where are they? Well, one's in Rome, one's inside the Vatican, and the other is in Florence, in Italy. And what was absolutely amazing is when we got to Florence in Italy, it just so happens that like normally if you're at the Statue of David, it's like 10 deep, 20 deep. It's really hard to get a selfie, really hard to get a picture without anyone. We went there, and just so happens, so this is the weird thing. We got a place just around from the museum, and everything was full. Like there was no Airbnbs, like it was just, and for some reason, I don't know why, just around the corner there was one for exactly the nights that we wanted to be there.
Right.
Right. Plus, the museum opened and closed at I don't know, 9 to 5 or something like that. And then for some reason, the night this after arriving, we had a nice, but the second night we were there, which was like a Monday night or a Tuesday night, something like that, it opened for another 2 hours beyond normal closing. So it's finished at, I don't know, maybe 5, and it was open till 7. And they never do this, right? They never do it. And they had some specific like private function event or something like that, and they were allowing public in very small amounts of public to come in if they wanted to beyond those hours. So not advertised. It was just a freak kind of occurrence. So here we were in I think one of the greatest art halls, seeing one of the greatest pieces of art with no one else around us. No one else around us. It was absolutely like incredible. I'm like, how does this work?
Right.
I don't know. Can't explain it. But I wanted to, that was like a 10 out of 10 to see that for me, and had been for years and years and years. Now, this means nothing to anyone else, but it doesn't matter. I don't give a shit.
Right.
And you shouldn't give a shit either.
Right.
Absolutely.
But it's funny how if we want something bad enough, the universe just provides.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we trust in that enough.
Right. You just have to allow it to.
Yeah. And then
open.
just test it. And then test it and go, well, how big can I go with this trusting the universe thing?
Right.
Just see what happens.
Try again.
Do some experiments. It's pretty cool. I think we can do anything we want in our lives.
I love
Just
it.
got to have intent. We just got to have enough intention on it.
Manifest it.
Right. So, I mean, you've told us about some of your amazing trips. Is there just one specific one that just stood out, or was it Mount Everest?
No, everyone's got a different reason why it was amazing, and it used to, as I get little bit older, it used to be about me, but now it's about we.
Right.
It's about who I can take along on the journey. Who can I help? So I've traveled the world. It's been really cool. But when we went to Italy, my partner Tracy, she she's absolutely stunning, but she had agoraphobia, for a few years, so afraid of public places, and it was a whole heap of childhood stuff, and her on her vision board on her screensaver for a lot of years was the coloured houses of Cinque Terre in Italy, and that to her meant freedom. That to her was completely opposite to where she was afraid to leave the house. This was just like crazy, but it was a screensaver. And after her going through a whole heap of, coaching around it and, undoing a lot of the beliefs that she'd led herself to believe, and me helping her get to Cinque Terre in Italy and us walking the Cinque Terre track, and finishing up at those coloured houses that were on her screensaver for about 10 years. Thanks for coming. Done.
Wow.
Aww. Yeah.
That's incredible.
And just the hugs and the tears and the overcoming of everything that follows on from that. That's what gets me. That's my why.
Right.
Beautiful. Well, I have a totally different view on bucket list, and I think Jamie does too, safe to say.
I would think so.
And I think after we get done here, we'll probably both sit down and jot some stuff down on paper in our little notebooks too.
Yeah, we'll have to have a little meeting after this.
Yeah. But thank you so much for coming on. We learned a lot.
My pleasure, girls. Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
Hopefully we've inspired some people through the podcast and through what we're watching as well.
You've inspired us, so I'm sure listeners
Yeah, I was going to say, definitely inspired us. So,
and if you're ever in Colorado or Michigan, let us know. We got some cool stuff
definitely.
over
I
here.
have not been to both states yet, so and I've got to do 50 states before I pick the bucket too. So
there you go. And I know Australia is on both of our bucket lists, so if we ever get over that way, we'll give you a shout out.
Maybe that's some intention right there. We've got to place some intention, some real hardcore intention on that goal.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, thank you so much for coming on. This is fun. Thanks, Trav.
My pleasure, girls. No worries. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much to Trav for coming on. I know we learned a lot. It was very inspiring.
Yeah, I don't think I was expecting today to turn out how it did, but I'm really happy that it kind of had a pleasant twist, a pleasant surprise, because we learned a lot and super inspired. Trav's got a really great plan of thinking for anybody. I know certainly for folks our age, because I know sometimes we can feel stuck.
Right. Just a really good outlook on life and positivity and overall like wanting happiness, and I can vibe with that.
Major chill vibes.
If you're interested in hearing any more from him, his website is bucketlistguy.com and his book is My Bucket List Blueprint. So if you're interested, check it out. He's on Amazon, but you can also buy the book through his website.
Yeah, we had a really great time with Trav today. We hope you guys had a really great time listening as well. Stay tuned for more fun episodes coming from your favorite girls over here at the Jet Setters Podcast. That's what we try to do, is keep fun, cool, and exciting topics for you guys. So
yeah,
stay tuned.
And because we're curious, head over to our Instagram or Facebook and tell us some of your bucket list items, because we want to hear about them. And again, like he said, it doesn't have to be a certain place, but it can be just stuff you want to achieve in your life. And your life list, let's hear it. And to do that, head over to our Instagram, Jet Set Hers Pod. Facebook is Jet Set Hers Pod as well. Website, jetsetHers.com. Or if you want to email it to us because you don't have social media, it's jetsethers@gmail.com.
Yeah, hit us up on the socials. Make sure you pick up Trav's book and leave a review. You know what to do. Thanks for listening, guys. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.